And here comes EOS Nation. We have 3 members here from EOS Nation. They are based in Canada. We thank them for coming in. There's Mr. Keys and Eves and Dennis as well. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Hey, Eve, Denny, Daniel. Nice to see you guys.
Hey, Bluejays. Hey, Kevin.
Turn off some Telegram chats and, so that we don't have bings all the time.
Denny, your voice is a little low there.
Oh, is it? Okay, wait. Should I get? Can you hear me now?
A little low, but yeah, a little better, I guess.
All right, I'll try to continue. I'll try to sort it out.
Okay.
All right. And you guys are up in Canada, is that right?
That's
we
right.
are. Yeah.
He's
We're
got
about
his
to-
coupon
got
inside,
my
right?
tooth on, man. It's inside. It's December. I mean, it's still pretty cold out there. I think it was -7 today, even though it was sunny.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful. Oh, Kev, yeah. Kev from North Carolina there.
Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't shovel any snow today. I don't know about you, but
No, it's supposed to snow tomorrow and Wednesday, actually, in Ottawa, where I'm at.
oh boy. Well, I'm
So,
sorry.
yeah, I got to keep my beard for the winter and then my hat on as well. Keep warm.
Right, even indoors.
Even indoors. Welcome to Canada.
Wow.
We're hardened over here, though. We're ready for anything that the blockchain throws at us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Daniel's from Toronto, and Denny's also from Ottawa, I believe.
Yep, I am from Ottawa. Is the sound better now, or?
It's a lot better.
Okay, good.
Yeah, great to have you guys on. Can you tell us a little bit more about EOS Nation?
Sure. I'll start. I guess my name's Eve. I've been in EOS Nation now for about 2 months, doing this full time. EOS Nation is a group of 7 co-founders from different areas, mainly the Canada region, but we do have Dave that's in Texas. So we're spread across North America, but mostly Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Sherbrooke region, so kind of Eastern Canada region. We're all self-funded. Some of us are full-time doing this and some of us are part-time. So we have 7 co-founders. We have 3 of us that are full-time and 4 that still have jobs so that they can pay for this because we are self-funded. The idea is that we made a conscious decision to remain self-funded and I guess bootstrap everything so that we would be free from outside influence. So the EOS Nation, I guess, stemmed from the EOS Nation Facebook group, which was started roughly maybe a little bit more maybe a year ago or so, which currently today we reached a little over 1,900 members. So it's the 2nd largest EOS group on Facebook, which is really, really great. So it stemmed from that. We had 3 of our co-founders that started that group. One thing led to the next. Some of us were in cryptocurrencies, in blockchain governance, or in infrastructure in other areas. We got put together through Telegram. I was watching the EOS DAC beforehand, and just, you're on Telegram, you meet people. Basically, I live on Telegram, and you meet people, you start doing some back and forth, and you realize people have some common values, common visions as to what they want out of this. And EOS was the binding factor for all of us. So we got together, we started doing some events, and EOS Nation as a block producer candidate was formed late in, I guess, mid-February or so.
Cool. Yeah. And EOS Nation is, you guys are also, well, I want to use the word decentralized, but you have a very large team. And you guys are also doing this ambassador program as well, which I find very interesting. Can you guys talk more about that?
Sure. So the ambassador program was the idea, and it's interesting that you had EOS DAC beforehand as a guest. So the idea at first, we were looking at how we could do governance for EOS Nation as a block producer. And one of the ideas that was floating around for about a month where we really pushed the envelope on this was for EOS Nation to become a DAC, simply because we had so many members in the community that were already doing things at the community engagement level in their own jurisdictions throughout the world. And we wanted to see how we could incorporate some of that within EOS Nation being a block producer. Long story short, we decided not to go that route in terms of EOS Nation as a block producer becoming a DAC, but we wanted to keep that key component of having really at the core community engagement. So for us, community engagement is at the core. I mean, infrastructure is the core. That's the base. Everybody's got to have the base. But afterwards, our focus is really that community engagement aspect. So we wanted to see how we could leverage off of what people were already doing. And if we were to become a block producer, how could we support and facilitate that community engagement spread out throughout the world? So one of the decisions we made was to keep the EOS Nation name so that we weren't tied to a particular geographic location. And the other thing is that we started the ambassador program, which has just been astounding. The amount of responses that we've gotten, the amount of interest that we've got in the last 3 weeks or so. I've been doing interview after interview after interview. I think the last 3 days I've done 12 interviews. So it's been incredible. And we've had people from North America. So I've had somebody from North Carolina. We've got some South America. We've got some Central America. We've got a bunch of people from Africa, Europe, Asia. So we're kind of spread out. And the idea from that is that really, if we can have some people throughout the world that are doing these events, that are already doing these meetups, these activities, that are already producing material, could we somewhat be, as EOS Nation, the educational hub that then has a bunch of different people that we support in various ways, depending on whether they're trying to host a small meetup, 8 to 10 people, their level of support and what they need out of it would be very different than we're in talks with people that are doing 500 people, 800 people conferences. What would they need out of that? So kind of that idea launched the ambassador program.
So your ambassadors are going to be paid, or are you going to have them sort of give them resources? Yeah,
so the idea, I guess paid is I wouldn't say the word paid. So it would be similar to if you were doing dApps. So if another BP, if they wanted to incubate dApps, somebody would, give a proposal for a dApp, and then the BP would define whether or not that meets certain criteria, and then they would allocate funds based on that. So we have a similar approach with our ambassadors. They don't get paid per se, but yes, they do have access to resources. Now, those resources can be either through promotional materials, they can be through swag. Some people, they just need banners for their events. Some people need PowerPoint presentations. Some people need t-shirts or whatever, little things to give away, stickers, that kind of thing. Some people need financial support so that they can actually rent a hall. So we've had that where people said, I'd like to rent this hall. I have a group that's interested. There's 50 people. Unfortunately, I think most of us here have done meetups. There's a cost to that, and so if we can support in that way, that's what we're aiming to do. But that support level and that will vary based on from ambassador to ambassador.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
And when it comes and Daniel and Denny, are you guys more of the technical side? How are you guys related in EOS Nation?
Yeah, so I can start. So my background, I did 11 years with the Department of National Defense for the federal government as a geospatial engineer. So I've actually worked with a lot of multinational militaries at a NATO level headquarters. So those types of environments, sort of high secure networks. After that career, I've actually launched myself into pure open source development, just doing a lot of open source development. And the fact that EOS is open source, MIT license, it like shocked my little heart. I'm like, oh my God, an amazing platform that's completely open source. So I loved EOS right from the beginning. I briefly worked at Facebook in San Francisco in November, but now I'm a freelance developer, and now I'm also working for EOS Nation full-time since about January with Eve. Again, I'm a co-founder as well through EOS Nation, and I'm going to be responsible for the block producer infrastructure for the team. So I'm more on the tech side, and also for the community engagement. So we've also been launching a testnet, so we can announce that after. Maybe Daniel can do his introduction, and we can talk about other announcements after.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Daniel, why don't you go?
Sure. So I had a similar nerd out experience as Dennis when I discovered EOS, not as much on the tech side as it was on the economic side. I consider myself a voluntarist pretty much my entire life. That's what got me interested in blockchain. And then I discovered Dan Larimer and his work, and I came across EOS, and that blew my mind. With EOS Nation, I've been primarily focused on the community engagement. The way I got involved with these guys was and a lot of this was thanks to you, Bluejays. I had linked up with you on Telegram, and you had encouraged me to start a meetup in Toronto because there wasn't anything in Toronto, and I was looking for people to nerd out with. And I got back from my trip to Anarchapulco, was linking with you, and we got it started. And within a matter of weeks, it started growing pretty quickly. And that's how I got connected with the rest of the EOS Nation team. And since then, I've been really focused on growing the Toronto community. And we've got a bunch of stuff to announce as it relates to that a little later.
Yeah, that's good. And if anyone wants to join that group, I believe it's under Telegram as at EOSTO. So that includes some of the Waterloo groups, the Waterloo area region as well too. So we left it as like a GTA group. So back to you, Denny. You hinted at something on the community testnet, and I know recently we saw something on a post out there about Scholar. Did you want to give a little background about that and what that is?
Yeah, so I'll give a background. So EOS Scholar was essentially kind of incubated when there's only a few testnets. Now there's a little bit more testnets kind of popping up. But essentially the idea with that was to give every block producer, even any community, a chance to be connected to another testnet. So this was supposed to be a high rotation and also focus on the introduction, the documentation, making sure that everyone can just connect to it. So it's mostly the connectivity, not so much of the brute force, breaking the chain, testing the capability, just connecting, because a lot of people actually never connected to it. And there was a lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar BPs on all of the test nets. So this was essentially a chance to have anyone that have not been connected to a test net just connect to it. And we're going to be producing a lot of documentation and tutorials on similar things, maybe setting up SSL, installing EOS. Even though there's a lot of really great instructions on the EOS platform, we're going to be focusing on multilingual documentation. So we have partnered with, actually, I'll name out a few of the partners for the EOS Scholar. So we have EOS Cal from California, EOS Canon, and Meet One that have all been partnered with this Scholar testnet to just build a really solid documentation and essentially the sort of school of how to build a proper testnet. And we'll be ideally translating all those into multilingual documents. So we've started with Chinese and English. Those will be the two primary language that we'll be providing documentation for. But ideally will be French and Spanish and all sorts of other documentation, which can then be brought to schools, maybe universities, and that documentation or that package will be for learning purposes. So yeah, so you can join the EOS Scholar testnet. I think we have a Steemit post that you can link below, and we have a Telegram chat, and we'll be officially launching the version 3 of EOS. I think about Friday or Saturday, whenever EOS actually announces their version 3 launch, we'll be rolling out a new chain and hopefully include everyone. We've got about 18 or so block producers already interested. Ideally, I'd like to have more block producers that have not been participating in other testnets to give a chance to them first as a first priority. But if we can't fill up the 21 or 30 spots, then we'll have to use the same names again. But ideally, it's for block producers that have not connected yet. That's the main focus, and help them because we need those standby BPs for the EOS chain. We need 100+ block producers to support the whole chain, and not just the focus 21. So,
would you say that you're almost incubating block producers here?
I think so. we're ideally it would be to even another thing too is even help communities. Maybe some people are really interested in the tech but are not a block producer, but they still want to be a part of a testnet. So we're also opening up to other communities, maybe developers that want to have a little developer testnet. It's not just for block producers, it's anyone who is willing to connect to an EOS testnet. But yeah, definitely maybe incubating some block producers, but so far, all the people that have been joining and are interested in connecting are already existing block producers or existing EOS community. And also maybe this will also help other people reach more to their scaling plan. Maybe they wanted to help out, right? We need someone in Toronto, we need someone in Montreal. And that would just be the mechanism to test that connectivity to make sure that they can be the scaling plan that we want to extend to them. So it's a learning platform for everyone.
Hence the word scholar, I suppose.
It's hence the word scholar. But there's lots of test nets. So at the time it was incubated, there was only, I would say, 2. Now there is a little bit more than 2. So everyone can have a little, they can all play in the test net. But this is just one other one focused on the documentation and the learning part of it. Yeah.
When you speak about learning and documentation, education, it really goes back to the Carmel interview that we had. I can almost see it as a challenge on Carmel to start up your own test net. That would be that'd be interesting.
Sure.
Now let's go back to Daniel. Daniel, you had a meetup in Toronto, and Aereo was there. How did that go?
It was great. We had a good turnout. Great spot that Aereo sponsored. They paid for an open bar and a pizza, and we had a great turnout from people from the healthcare industry. They asked the Aereo team some tough questions, but Vesia, with the CEO of Aereo, he was here in Toronto talking, and he did a really good job answering their questions and kind of setting the context around, what could blockchain do to healthcare? That was kind of the question we were answering. And I'm actually just right now editing the video. We had a couple cameras there. We shot the whole thing. I did a talk. Vesia, CEO of Aereo, did a talk. We'll be posting those on our YouTube channel very soon.
Interesting.
Nice.
Kev, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so you guys, and we'll go back to you guys are building a great community with the ambassador program, and meetups will be held all around the world. What other type of projects, community benefit projects, can we expect from you guys going forward?
I can plug some of the meetups that we've got planned coming up. We've got quite a busy couple months ahead. April 5th, the EOS Quebec is going to be hosting a meetup focused for developers, and we'll be a special guest there. On April 18th, EOS Nation is going to be hosting the first Ottawa EOS meetup. April 21st, in Lagos, Nigeria, one of our ambassadors, Toju Kaka, he's going to be co-hosting an EOS meetup. May 12th, we're going to be speaking at a crypto conference in Montreal called the Salon La Crypto. And then...
That was May 12th, you said?
That is May 12th, that's right.
Okay.
And one I'm really excited about, May 18th and 19th, we got Thomas Cox is committed to coming down to Toronto. We're going to be having a triple header. Thomas is going to be speaking in the afternoon at Waterloo. That's going to be on the 18th. In the evening of the 18th, he'll be speaking in Toronto downtown. And then the next morning, he'll be doing a talk at York University. York University in the morning. And so, yeah, we're really excited about that. The exact times and the venue downtown are to be announced, but the date and the speaker is fully confirmed at this point.
Excellent. And the first one on the 18th would be at the University of Waterloo.
That's right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Where can folks keep up with these meetups? I mean, you just mentioned a bunch. Is that you guys have a meetup page for EOS Nation where folks can keep track of all of these?
Yeah, so eosnation.io is our central EOS Nation source that links to pretty much everything. We've got links to our Facebook group, our Telegram. We have a few different, so in EOS Toronto, we have our own meetup group. That if you look us up on meetup.com/EOS Toronto, you'll find all of the Toronto specific meetups. We haven't posted the Thomas Cox meetup yet, but we'll probably be doing that in the next couple of days. We have an EOS Nation meetup group, meetup.com/EOS Nation. That covers more of the Quebec stuff. Anything I'm missing, guys?
Most of the information can be found on the Facebook page or the Telegram chat. So like I said earlier, we have about a little over 1,900 people right now in the EOS Nation Facebook page. We have about 200 people in the Telegram page. So the Telegram page definitely is more accessible if you want to reach out to the founders themselves. Just more manageable with less people right now. But even that's doubled in the last week or so. So it's growing quite a bit. We also have our first ambassador, our first official ambassador was and is Dallas Rushing. And so he's been doing a bunch of YouTube videos as well. And so shout out to Dallas. So you can follow us on his channel as well. He's been giving a lot of our information there. So there are multiple areas on our social media accounts where you can just follow, but probably like Daniel said, the best is probably the Facebook group online, because it's active, it's there all the time, and everything is posted.
Nice. Yeah. Are there any other announcements that we should talk about that you guys have coming up? I know you guys hinted at a couple things.
So yeah, I guess there are a couple of things that I'd like to mention. So one, I guess Daniel kind of jumped the gun on one thing, but we do have more ambassadors coming into play. So we've been doing a lot of interviews, and we do have a couple of surprises for new official ambassadors that are coming out. We are also looking at partnerships with other groups. So I've had people reached out to me. Some people that are currently working on blockchain products on Ethereum, and they're looking at porting over to EOS once EOS the mainnet launches, and they kind of want to know, and they reached out to me just because we're EOS Nation. They found out our names, and so there's some of that going on. There's partnerships as well with other EOS groups throughout the world. We're also launching some particular areas in the world where we're thinking of launching substantive EOS groups that have stemmed from either our ambassador program or just from the back and forth in Telegram and online social media. We have one thing that I think we forgot to mention on our GitHub. So we have a GitHub repo. You can find the address when you go to our EOS EOSBP.io or EOSNation.io website. We have an awesome GitHub. I think it's called the EOS Bible, and there's tons of materials on there. So if you're looking to start a meetup or you're looking to do some events, there's a lot of information on there. Going from very basic, what's the blockchain, to way more advanced. All right, how can you get involved in EOS and different things? There's PowerPoint materials on there. There's a lot of very specific materials if you're looking for that, and it's quite an extensive list, and that's being updated by the community as well. So a lot of it is being updated by the community and us, and it's been incredible the last couple of weeks.
That's amazing. That's really cool. Yeah, you guys are doing a good job building the community. And the Ethereum projects, are you allowed to speak about any of those? I'm sure there's a lot of interest.
I cannot speak anything officially right now, but I was just mentioning there are some people that have reached out, and they're interested in how they could potentially port, and so they're asking for information. A big topic that's run about recently is the proof of work versus delegated proof of stake. So some people just have never heard of I guess delegated proof of stake, and they kind of started getting into EOS and what that could do, and then they like the idea that obviously the scalability of EOS and what EOS will be able to do for their applications, but they also like the idea that EOS takes into account the human component of governance or within its governance. Whereas if you look at Ethereum, not only is it, it's not as scalable, frankly, it's limited in transactions per second, but also Ethereum is trying to resolve a lot of its issues, or the issues that we're facing in society, through coding and really through the algorithms and through that aspect. Whereas EOS does that, but it also takes into account the human aspect of interactions. And I've been getting a lot of feedback on that and how that's getting people into EOS. So yeah, it's been great.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I did see a tweet on Twitter about somebody made a within the Ethereum community made a joke about taking EOS off of the Ethereum network, and Brendan Bloomer responded and said, well, you don't really have to take a poll. There's only 4 people that control Ethereum. So
yeah. So no, it's been really incredible, and I can't go into details and specifics, but a lot of partnerships coming up, and some things will be announced in the next couple of days for some of them, and a couple of weeks. So we do have some interviews that are already been recorded. They're just now being edited, so for announcements, and others are just still in the works. But definitely the next 2 months will be incredibly busy, and a lot of announcements.
Cool. Yeah, and that's what we all suspected as well. And this will be kind of a community-wide thing as well. I'm sure that a lot of projects, there'll be a huge demand, I'm sure, once EOS starts to pick up, and you guys probably see it as well. And I mean, where do you guys see EOS going in general? We've always asked this question, and you guys heard us ask EOS Deck as well. Give us kind of a timeline for what you see happening with EOS, and give us your general thoughts, please.
The way I like to say it is that EOS is building our future one block at a time. What we don't know is how quickly they'll be building those blocks. My personal opinion is that once the mainnet launches, we're going to see an incredible influx. Just if we look at what's happened to us in the last couple of weeks, just magnify that for the whole EOS ecosystem. I foresee that there's going to be a lot of applications that are going to be ported on EOS within the first couple of months of mainnet launching. But I also see that in the future. So if you look at quarter 2, quarter 3, once we start looking at multi-threaded parallelism, and once we start having a lot more transaction on the network and more usability of the network, which I think will happen. I think that EOS is really going to be that base or the core for whether you want to call it Internet 3.0, 4.0, whatever it is. I believe that EOS is going to be at the base of that. We've only started scratching the surface with what EOS is doing. And part of it is just that incredible community that's behind it. And a lot of it, that stems from having that 1 year long ICO, which is it's somewhat revolutionary in the blockchain space. I mean, there's others that have done something similar, but really EOS has really perfected this. And you can see it even right now with Dawn 3.0 launching at the end of the week. The next 2 months will be focused on governance, and you have very few other projects that are as far advanced technologically. I mean, EOS is in the league of its own, but then even just on the governance side, you have no other blockchain that's really looking at these two key components, the tech side and the human aspect of how we could run the future, basically. So I foresee great things with EOS.
I'm pumped up. Thanks, Eve.
I'm super pumped up. Yeah.
Well, it was amazing having you guys on, and I'm excited for all of the things going on in Canada, Toronto, and whatever you guys have going on globally too. It sounds like you guys are spreading out there for sure.
Yeah, and you guys have mentioned it a couple times. Where should folks keep up? You have eosnation.io, and you have your Facebook group, and you said Telegram is easiest sort of to keep up with. Is there anything else people should know about you guys?
No, I mean, we have a YouTube channel as well. There's not much content on there, but the idea is there's going to be more content. Right now, just join us on the Telegram. Join us on Telegram is probably the easiest way if you want to reach us directly. If not, Facebook Nation, EOS Nation group, that's where there's way more content, and you can see the community in action. You can see it happening in real time where people are just answering back and forth. We have a lot of great moderators in there, and we've had a really, really good interaction with the community in there.
Nice. Yeah, it's good having you guys on. We've seen you all over the place, so it's nice to put some faces to the names there. So we appreciate you guys coming on and saying hello. Everybody.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you very much, Bluejays, for having us on. And we know that you guys are really, really busy, and you guys are doing some impeccable work, some really, really great work. So keep at it.
Yes, yeah,
and it goes right back at you. We really appreciate all the work you guys have been doing and building this community. And like I said, a big part of me being here is thanks to you building that initial network of connections. So, really appreciate the work you guys are doing.
Big shout out to EOS Go for, Daniel probably would not, EOS Nation as we know it right now would not exist if it wasn't for EOS Go. So thank you very much, guys.
That's good. Thank you very much, guys. That's a nice compliment.
Thanks. That's very nice. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, guys. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Yes.
Do our best.